the Healing Through Love podcast with Sharlene Lynch and Rose Davidson. Awareness creates choices. Leah Marmulla in episode 16 explains that awareness is the first step to create a different way.
Helping the person see what they choose or can't see because they're in the forest, seeing the trees in the forest, that sort of scenario, and going, okay, let's just really step back and let's really explore what you're saying here or what you're feeling into this. And yeah, I think once they start to see the light bulbs going on, oh yeah, I'm actually quite good at this or that, or my parents said these words because they were stressed, or I interpreted something in a way that was negative, which may not have been intended as that. And helping them to see a bigger picture, which is really important and invaluable in everyday life too. It's having conversations. Just because it's said in a way that triggers you doesn't mean the person in front of you is talking from the same stance as your parents were when they said.
Welcome to another episode of Healing Through Love. Each week, we share ideas, experiences, and resources to increase the awareness of domestic and family violence and to empower survivors to grow and thrive. We talk with experts who share their advice, or with people who have experienced abuse, no matter where they are on their journey. This is all about healing through love. And now, here are your hosts, Sharlene Lynch and Rose Davidson.
Welcome to the Healing Through Love podcast. I'm your host, Sharlene Lynch from sharlenelynch.com. Healing Through Love is a social enterprise whose vision is to shift awareness on domestic and family violence within the community and to support survivors. Our mission is to provide family and domestic violence survivors with a soft place to land by offering advice and services available to them and their families. We interview experts and survivors who share their personal stories as a way of offering experience for those who are on the journey of healing. As well as our podcast, we also offer annual pamper days here in Adelaide and also soon to be in Tasmania. This is where local businesses get together and supply everything from facials to hair to makeup to massage and everything else in between. Think day spa on steroids. It's amazing. It's a beautiful healing place to be. And some of our success stories include people coming along as participants one year and coming along as exhibitors the next year because the healing journey has been so expanded. We love what we do. And our special guest today is Leah. Leah has first-hand experience of healing deep personal trauma. She's committed to practicing the art of surrender to self-awareness and understanding. And unfortunately, she's had 3 attempts, which have all, to our benefit, have all failed. And she's going to talk a little bit about that today. Leah's concluded that it wasn't time for her to go and that she's got a bigger journey here to do. And part of it is helping others heal. Please welcome. Hi, Leah. How are you?
Hi, Sharlene. I'm good. And yourself?
I'm magnificent. Now, you have to tell me, Leah, where are you and what are you doing?
Okay, so I'm currently about 1,200 kilometres from my home. I'm in the Bunya Mountains, which is west of the Sunshine Coast, so the two divides over. The reason why I'm here is a few weeks ago, I had this stirring moment. It was just like, I have to leave. And so I always follow my inner spirit. And so I started this working road trip. I got up to Mackay, applied for this job in the Bunya Mountains as a waitress because that's my side gig. And I landed here and now I'm waitressing and tenting in the beautiful Bunya Mountains.
Oh, how divine. I was up that way and it is a beautiful neck of the woods. And
It is.
Really, you'd think it'd be warmer this time of the year, just quietly.
No, it's cold, which is why I'm in my overcoat. I've got the scarf. I'm in the tent, not in the campground, because it is icy up here, and it's been raining as well. So it's a combination of winter to early spring, and a shock to the system when you're not used to it. So that's okay.
We
But
can
we're here
blame
now.
El Nino.
Yeah, let's not go there.
Well, I'm sure that it's going to warm up there in Queensland very soon. Now, you offer a range of healing modalities. So can you maybe walk us through the healing modalities that you use?
Okay, so my passion is really helping people understand themselves and see where their past has dictated or influenced their current choices. Now, most of us have gone through trauma at some extent, like you introduced. I've had 3 life attempts, and it was on the last one I decided, okay, if I can't, am I allowed to swear? If I'm allowed to die, put in the word you want, then I had to learn to live. So through that learning to live process, I learned NLP. I've learned, verbal counseling, so CBT, and also ACT therapy and things like that. I also have learned hypnotherapy. So using different modalities, over the course of the years, to the level of practitioner, I offer these services back, and they work. That's the thing. The fact that you can go from a suicidal ideology, and really, really struggling to stay present in the moment, and sometimes going, let's get through the next 5 minutes. Let's get through the next 5 minutes, and watching the clock to survive in 5-minute intervals, to going, okay, this is where I am. I'm going on a road trip by myself. It's a solo trip, totally unplanned. Waking up almost every day. Okay, where am I going? And the blessing of this experience where I'm in the mountains is that I'm seeing a lot of my strengths shine through, where in previous employments, it hasn't been so obvious. So, as I teach my clients or encourage my clients to see what are your strengths, and let's honor them. Let's celebrate your strengths, because you learnt so many coping strategies from your past. They're not a crutch. They're not a problem. We can use them to your benefit to move forward from here on. And then the things that you're scared about, your weaknesses, and then we can just unpack them and go, okay, how real is that? So all of our fears are really just lies that we tell ourselves that we were told by others. So having insight into what they are, then we empower ourselves to have choice to redirect or change them or reword them or rewrite them, whatever language you want to give it. We get to change the course of our future.
Yeah, so true. So my OCD, which was to the point of self-harm, is now one of my superpowers. It enables me to get the things done that I get done, which from the outside looking in seems impossible. Yes, and but with OCD, it's actually an easy task to do. So I love that. How much of the challenge, how much of the journey, how much of the burden is this past story, the story that we tell ourselves? Like, how much of that is what's contributing to the end result?
I would say until one is willing to explore it, like really unpack the past, our childhood stories, teenage, early adulthood, even generational issues, the things that we learnt through our family story, we don't do this, or we do like this. The DNA stuff, the parents' experiences, the great-grandparents' experiences coming down through the DNA, going, okay, well, how much of it is it real to this era, to my life, to this now? And I would say in most of the cases, it has no relevance. One, because it's not ours. Two, because we're in a different environment to what our parents were. The world is so different now. And even though it's the norm or the expected, because that's what we learned, that's our safe familiar, it doesn't make it right. It doesn't make it safe in the now. And that's when I started to go, oh, I actually have choice. I can change this. It was very confronting as well. And there was a lot of shame and guilt came up around, I'm co-creating this hell. Going, oh, these are actually my choices that are creating this hell. And there was a lot of guilt and shame that came up for me. But when, through the different processes, it was actually not my responsibility to create the life I had to that date, because it was given to me through my parents, through my siblings, through the school, the generation I was actually born into, which was the 70s, the schooling system, the government, the culture, everything that I was exposed to in my early years actually pretty much framed my adult state. So although I felt shameful for co-creating a hell marriage, an existence I wasn't happy with, I was struggling against all the time, it was because deep down I knew I wasn't being true to myself. And having to bring that out against all those constructs and expectations and judgments and belief systems, that's where the struggle was. And so literally some days it was like, what do I believe around this? And in a sense, holding up in front of me, reading the belief to myself, going, that's a load of bullshit, chuck that one away. Or, oh, I think I like this one for the now, knowing it may most likely will change in the future. It was too scary to let go at the time. But over the years, it's like, no, I don't want to believe this. I totally don't get that. I totally push against this, this, and this. And now I'm able to say, I'm going on a road trip, got no money. That's okay. I'm going to trust the universe. I will land in the spots I need to. And one of my biggest gifts is just being me being me, letting my inner light shine through. And as a waitress, on the floor, helping people have a great night is one of my biggest strengths.
I love it. I love it. And, I've been through the journey myself as a recovered hoarder. I didn't know that my great-grandfather was a hoarder. And I didn't discover till very late in life that my father was a hoarder. So it's not like we saw the behaviors, and it's not like it was passed through the DNA. It's somehow through osmosis that these stories are retold through generation after generation after generation. And it's up to us to break those patterns. I love it. So which of the modalities that you use is your favorite? Do you have a favorite?
There's a tool in an LP, which is reframing, which is in a sense just flipping the dialogue that you tell yourself and really challenging the truth of what you say. Is it always like this? Or is there another perspective that you can see? Is there the silver lining in this that you can hold on to? Can you see the blessing of that skill or that your coping mechanism? Helping the person see what they choose or can't see because they're in the forest, seeing the trees in the forest, that sort of scenario, and going, okay, let's just really step back and let's really explore what you're saying here or what you're feeling into this. And yeah, I think once they start to see the light bulbs going on, oh yeah, I'm actually quite good at this or that, or my parents said these words because they were stressed, or I interpreted something in a way that was negative, which may not have been intended as that. And helping them to see a bigger picture, which is really important and invaluable in everyday life too. It's having conversations. Just because it's said in a way that triggers you doesn't mean the person in front of you is talking from the same stance as your parents were when they said a similar phrase 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago. They're just being themselves in the now, having a totally different conversation, but we're being triggered. So it's our responsibility then to own it and say, okay, what's in me? What is the trigger? What's that red button? And why is that red button there? Do I want that red button to stay because it's a protector and it's actually valid? And in some cases, that red button needs to stay there. When you are in a domestic violence situation, as soon as that red button is a danger one, of course it has to stay there. We can't get rid of our danger protectors. But if it isn't serving a protective, healthy service now, then can we change that red button into an orange button where let's be cautious around this person? We don't fully know them or trust them yet. Or do we go green and go, they're just being them. It's no intent. There's no harm intended. They're just being what I don't understand yet. It's not a threat to myself. It's not a danger zone. It's just I'm hypersensitive and that person's an okay person. And then, stepping through and go, okay, where do I fit? What color does this button need to be in different scenarios even? Because, in a true DV, it's red alert all the time. And sometimes it's rightfully so if you want to self-protect. In a work situation where it's just conversation that could be banter, that could be misinterpreted because we're sensitive, then that's an amber and we have the opportunity to explore. But if it really is a safe place when you've got trusted friends who are in your best interest to look after you and they say something that triggers, Okay, this is something I need to deal with and readdress or heal through or something like that.
Yeah, I love it. So I love reframe. I love questioning self and reframe. It's definitely helped me with all of my interesting stories from where I was to where I am today.
Yeah,
I still
yeah.
question everything on a daily basis. Is that really how the marketing funnel needs to be done? Can't we find a better way? So, yes,
There's always a better way.
I'm always reinventing things. It's
Yeah.
a great way to live because it just means every day is fascinating and interesting and no day is like the day before. I love it. So you offer a beautiful treasure trove of assets, basically, of gifts to be able to help people on their healing journey. And I feel from you that it's your authenticity is the real key to how you heal, is that you turn up exactly as you are and you allow others that opportunity to turn up as they are, where they are on their journey.
Literally.
Literally.
I'm okay being in a tent. And if you're not, that's your problem.
Literally, and you guide them, you take them from where they are to where they need to be at a pace that works for them, because not everyone
Definitely.
is prepared. Some go scratching and clawing at the speed, because they're not ready to quite move. And I feel that you gently shift the pieces on the chessboard, that you open the door and allow them to move as opposed to pushing them through. So that's a beautiful way to heal. And I have to say, that is the best way to heal. I'm a business coach. That's not how we business coach. Like that.
That's a totally different element, isn't it? When you're doing personal development, there's so many other layers and so many different factors to consider. And even when we see an opening, it's only a small snippet of the iceberg that's behind that. And that's what we need to consider. Anger is only a symptom. Frustration's only a symptom. And we need to consider what's the backstory of that. What's the driver? What's the conditions that created that instance or that reaction? There's so many possibilities. And the observer has no, unless they know the person intimately or a long time, really have no reference points for going, oh, they're pissed off. The next set of questions could be why, what's going on, or what has happened for them to react this way. Instead of going, well, they're freaking idiot, blah, 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 as we tend to do, and get defensive and project onto the situation. But okay, let's get curious. As Brené Brown says, let's get curious. Lean into the situation and go, okay, what's really going on here? And whose responsibility is it to support or to fix, fix being a very loose word, but address the issues. And we can only address ours.
I love it.
We cannot make another person change. As much as we'd love to, it just doesn't happen. It really doesn't happen.
We can provide the environment and we can work towards manifesting it. But you know what? It's their journey and we can just hold space on every level and be perhaps an example of how we could be, how they might want to be. I'm just thinking of teenagers now.
And they're the best example, really, because they are learning their feet. And in many crossovers of significant life changes, it is that either the early childhood, the up to 7-year age, or that's the teenage years that are rebelling or grappling, because depending when the trauma happened or the series of years that happened, we know that we revert back to the age of significant event. So often we're dealing with people who are still childlike in their emotional coping mechanisms, or teenagers who are volatile and pushing their boundaries and owning their space and going, no, this is mine, just back off, and finding their place in the world. And so that's something to really consider. And just on that point, if I can, when I really started to look into particularly attachment theories and Erickson's style, reflecting back on the journey, I could see that I was a 2-year-old when I got married. So you can imagine, emotionally, mentally, I was a 2-year-old, because that was a defining moment happened at that age where emotionally I got stuck. And so I got married at 18. So the next 16 years or so, I was grappling how to be an adult in a 2-year-old mind. Of course, it didn't work. And once I had that insight, I'm going, okay, that makes more sense, why I was insecure, why I was really, really struggling with attachment, wanting attention, wanting, almost lusting after affection from anyone, choosing a partner that wasn't a good match, choosing a career that again wasn't a good match, or choosing, putting myself at risk, really, because I was grappling and, seeking affection or attention or a fitting in places that really was not going to match my now adult body. So that, the co-creation aspect of that, putting ourselves at risk unknowingly, because that inner child is stuck at a previous age, but they don't have enough skills and maturity and wisdom or insight and experience to go, no, this is not a healthy place to be.
Yeah, it's complicated, and one story doesn't fit all, and we all have our own patchworks, like a mosaic of all of these pieces that we bring, and we hope at the end of the day it makes some sort of pattern that's pleasing to ourselves, not necessarily others. And I'm 56 and only now just getting married, so I thought I'd figure out life first and then get married, the other way around. And lucky, because I was very volatile early in on the piece, so this is the right way to do it for me. Wow, what does it look like working with you as a client? Is it all delivered on the online space?
Because I can work internationally, definitely online. If again, because I'm traveling, unless we're crossing paths somewhere, because I do plan to go around New South Wales, Western and far west, New South Wales, Adelaide, Victoria later and early next year. But at the moment, yes, online. And surprisingly enough, hypnotherapy does work online, because it's still about holding space. And if you believe in the quantum space, I can still very much hold the individual, and I'm very good at seeing and feeling the story before they even recognize it in their own processing or in the hypnotic state. That's the other blessing I have, and I think that comes from people with trauma, is that we are so empathetic because we've had to read other people, we had to sense the environment so quickly and so early on. It's such an innate part of ourselves now that we can go, this is actually a safe or unsafe place, and how do I need to adapt, like the chameleon effect? What do I need to do with this person, in this situation, in this now, to go, I'm okay, I can protect myself. And then comes resilience. As an adult, we're so independent, we can do anything we want. Camping by myself in the middle of nowhere, and that sort of thing. Our coping strategies that we learnt as self-protection mechanisms as children certainly become our assets as adults if we can learn how to appreciate them and use them to our benefit.
Yes, and yes, all of this is true. So how did you go then transitioning through COVID? Like, was it even an issue for you because you were already delivering online?
I took it as a gift. I rewrote 2 of my books last year, so that was a really good space to just really sit for weeks on end. The previous year, it was a bit more challenging because it was so new to everyone, and it actually was a huge trigger for myself. Emotionally, it really brought up some demons. So I had the space to work through them, and that's when I did my counselling degree as well, because we had the time and the space, and that brought up even more trauma. Deep digging through counselling and attachment theory, Erickson development, and really seeing the stages that I was screwed over through my childhood experiences and then my other experiences of life, and how they impacted, but then gave me the gifts at the same time. So COVID was a blessing for me personally. It was the time and the space to reflect and deep dive, but I lived by myself too, so I didn't have what other people had with interesting family dynamics or challenging situations. Financially, I'm a Scrooge, so again, that wasn't an issue so much for myself. It was a challenge, but it wasn't a real trigger. And so I'm blessed in so many different ways. Well, I choose to see them as blessings. Other people think you're an idiot, and I go, that's okay. That's your call. You can choose to see that.
But it's just your opinion. Thanks for coming. I love
it. That's
So
it. Yeah,
what a wonderful journey. And with
it
all
has
of these beautiful treasures that you use, all of these healing modalities, what we were talking before the show, that the best way for people to find out if they're a good fit for your frequency, for their frequency, for where they are on the healing journey, is to go to your website and book a discovery call. Is that right?
yes. So there's quite a different options on the website. Even if the first touch is to join the community and get a feel for my writing style, because I'm very authentic. I'll talk about my own journeys with that. There is a free discovery option as well, where we can just talk on the phone or through Zoom if need be, and feel into each other. Where are we both at? As you said, are we a good fit? Are we energetically a good fit? Or you can just dive straight in and commit to looking at an issue or several issues over a couple of months. So there's certainly options. You can buy the books, the journal, so there's self-help options as well as supportive options available.
I love it. It's a cacophony of healing. I love it.
Yes,
Like
yes,
a
definitely.
smorgasbord. Come to my smorgasbord.
Yes, and take your pick, and then I'm there to help you support it through.
I love it. I love it. So where your business is right now and where your life journey is right now, what do you think's that after rewriting the books and getting the next certificate, and what's next for you on your journey as this healer?
That's an excellent question. Because I really don't know. That's the honest truth. The reason why I'm here is because I was getting bored, basically. As life was getting a bit too monotonous for my adventurous side of me. And I said, okay, I'm just going to go. So what I'm seeing now, and the blessing of doing what I'm doing is as a waitress in the mountains, is how good I am. And that's something I've always doubted. People would say, are you good at this? And I say, yeah, right, whatever. But now, because I'm curious about it, I'm going, I am damn good, and I'm hearing it and I'm seeing it and I'm feeling it. And that's the blessing. And I think most of us at any age, we don't really see ourselves because whatever reason, maybe society says you're not allowed to love yourself, you can't look after yourself, we can't praise ourselves because, the ego gets too big. But until we see our strengths for what they really are, how can we really give it to others too? Because we always hold back. We think, well, we're not good enough, or we're inferior, or someone else is better. So the blessing, and this is why I'm curious as to where my next step will be, is I'm seeing how good I am, how much I really connect with customers and help them feel great. And waitressing is quite different to counseling, but it still is a connection service. It still is about being authentic and seeing the person where they're at and going, this is what you need. You need that little bit extra space. You've got a conversation going on that's private. I won't come near you. Or you have other people who just want to be pampered and go, okay, that's where you're at. I'll pamper you, I'll play with you, I'll banter with you and make your night fun. And so being able to respond to individual nuances in the moment is one of my greatest strengths. And whether it's in the counselling chair, on the floor, or even just people walking down the street, because I pick up so much. You go, this is where you're at. This is what you need, and I'm able to give it, so I will. It's as simple.
I wish you were in Adelaide when we do our next session. So that's May next year.
Well, I might be. Who knows? Just book me in. Maybe that's as simple as that. Just let's book it in, and I could be down there by May.
So normally it's the domestic violence week. We do it on the same week, and usually we do a Saturday so that people that are working or people that are practitioners can still do their practice during the week and then take that day off. We look like we've found a location. We're just testing out the logistics of it. It is in Adelaide City, and it seems like a nice location. We're just testing out transport and those sorts of issues around having it in the city centre. But it looks like a nice location, and it's supported by the Wyatt Trust. So, and we love to do business with them because they really care, and their mission-based business to really make an impact on this planet. So we love it.
Yeah.
It's been a privilege and a pleasure to share your journey. I love it. This is healing on an expedition. It's an expedition of healing.
Well, that's exactly it. And that was the choice. It was just like, I knew I was getting stagnant. I was getting bored. And it's just like, what better way to reignite the passion than getting out of your comfort zone?
I love it. I love it. So, ladies and gentlemen listening today, our listeners, make sure you'll see the links above and below, depending if you're watching on Facebook or you're watching on YouTube or from the website or one of our podcast landing pages. Then you will see the link to actually jump on and have that discovery call and see if Leah is a good fit for you in your journey of discovery and your expedition to health. I love it. And it's been a privilege and a pleasure. Do you have any final words for our listeners today, Leah?
Just be gentle with yourself. Give yourself permission to be empathetic to you and your story and compassionate for your history, because it served a purpose and now you've got choice to move ahead.
Oh, I love it. Thank you so much. That's a goodbye from me and goodbye for Leah. Bye for now.
Thank you. I'll see you next time, maybe in May.
Yeah, maybe in May.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Healing Through Love. You can get further resources, see the show notes, or simply reach out to us via our website at htlaustralia.org. Thanks so much for joining us, and we look forward to your company next time on the Healing Through Love podcast.